Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushua, Ba'Shem HaRakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of their most honorable will. Shalom to the brothers doing what they're in truth. Um, yeah, got this article on MSN from the New York Times, and it's funny because it's going into these documents that these these elites have prepared, these plans, these preparations that they have for when certain apocalyptic scenarios go down. And this is something that is known about. And of course, there's directives, there's goals, there's aims where they're looking at, you know, dealing with brothers, man, and dealing with those who are pushing this word, man. Because, hey, a big part of it is what is Esau maximizing. It's the same thing with with the lockdowns or whatnot, maximizing what you can gain from these scenarios. So he wants to have the people maneuver in a certain way. He wants to have basically have it so he can attain what he desires. So it says documents shed light on secret U.S. plans for apocalyptic scenarios. Yeah. So that's a long ass article. So it says newly disclosed documents have shed a crack of light on the secret executive branch plans for apocalyptic scenarios, like the aftermath of a nuclear attack, when the president may activate wartime powers for national security emergencies. Yeah. And these are things that, anyone with any sense should know. It's like when there was the what was it called in Hawaii? I believe it was Hawaii, where the warning system went off, where they said there's an imminent nuclear strike cut upon Hawaii, take cover, and people were bugging for a while. Those kinds of systems, they exist, and it's like you watch like mainly it'll be like movies and whatnot, TV shows around when the Cold War was at its height, because that was the height of when it was in the public consciousness. But people have, it's like until very recently, until this recent invasion with Russia, Ukraine, maybe with North Korea, but even then, it's like North Korea, people are more just kind of like, that just seems like, they say, oh, he's just erratic, he's just insane, it would just come from nowhere. But now with Putin, with Russia, the reality of that nuclear conflict is back at the forefront, and they're only noticing it because it's making their Rice Krispies cost more at the at the supermarket. Their pasta costs more. Their their bread, their loaf of bread has gone up by like 20-30 pence. So that's now it's a reality to them. So it says until now, public knowledge of what the government put into those classified directives, which revoke emergency and wartime powers granted by Congress or otherwise claimed by presidents, has been limited to declassified descriptions of those developed in the early Cold War. In that era, they included steps like imposing martial law, rounding up people deemed dangerous, and censoring news from abroad. Oh, rounding up people deemed dangerous. And it's funny because I think the last time it was confirmed was in the 60s. They'll say I think 67 or some shit. And then it was Congress was saying, oh, this isn't a good look because of the Japanese in World War II. But after 9/11, you'd be having a laugh if you're saying, and with how Guantanamo's been going down, where a nigga could just be selling you had Abdulli with his little hot dog stand, some Iranian with a hot dog stand just come in there, getting grabbed up and slammed in Guantanamo, getting waterboarded, getting cattle prodded on his nuts for like 7 years, because he looks like you know, the brother of someone. And that nigga's getting no zero rights exist for that guy. But yeah, from then it's obvious they're still gonna have that, and as well, because why? Brothers have been pushing this word. It's gone viral online. It's pushed out to the whole planet Earth, man. So and one of the key goals of these elites is what? Is stopping this word propagating, stopping this word going out, which is an impossible task. That's a task which they lack the capability to fulfill. Because why? This is something of, you know, if this be something of the Most High, then, you know, there's nothing you can do to stop it. And this is a work of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, which is why what? It's done nothing but build steam. Everything that's come against it has basically made it either gain even more fame abroad. And it says what? Censoring news from abroad. So you ain't even gonna be able to hear what the fuck's going on. So it says it's not been clear what is in the modern directives known as presidential emergency action documents, because under administrations of both parties, none have been made public or shown to Congress. But newly disclosed documents, which relate to George W. Bush administration's efforts to revise the draft orders after the attacks of September 11th, 2001, offer clues. Several of the files provided to the New York Times by the Brennan Center for Justice show that the Bush-era effort partly focused on the law that permits the president to take over or shut down communication networks. Yeah, that was something. I think that was in the Wonder Woman movie, the second Wonder Woman movie, where I think the guy basically had like used one of those emergency like lines they have. I mean, that's been in a few movies actually, where they'll just like they have an emergency. I think it was in Man of Steel as well. There was another one that's coming to mind where it was like, oh, he's using a thingy, but they'll have like you know, lines linked up with like all the stations essentially to kind of have broadcasts put out, you know, backdoor to kind of put a broadcast out on like every TV in the US and whatnot. So that would mean what? Same thing with the internet. They'll just have it where like every ISP has to be like, okay, you're gonna like force, you know, send, you know, this, or even a backdoor in like Windows, backdoor in what's Apple's one called? OS X, I think. Mac OS X, where they'll be able to send through messages, just like when you get the text message with the Hawaii thing. So it might be just a thing where, you know, you get a video sent through saying, okay, this is through the blah 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 back door, or, you know, it might even shut down where you're able to communicate. Because why? Family of the word, it's like a lot of these things, when it gets into that state, they ain't even gonna be around. And this is just mentioned the nuclear strike because it's known that's what was set up for in like the original Cold War era documents. But obviously it'll be for you know, various different levels. I mean, it's until the nukes come, they ain't gonna be using emergency powers. They're gonna be using them hella. So this is what take over shutdown communication networks in wartime. That suggests the government may have developed or revised such an order in light of the explosive growth of the 1990s of the consumer internet, underscoring how little lawmakers and public can infer from another file from the summer of 2008. Mentions that Justice Department lawyers were revising an unidentified draft order in light of a recent Supreme Court opinion. The memo does not specify the ruling, but the court had just issued landmark decisions on topics that can relate to government actions in an emergency. One about gun rights in the US, another about the rights of Guantanamo detainees to court hearings. Yeah, and there was a bit more. So, when I took office in 56. She comes out, past the public. just who drafted the jury lawmakers to demand the executive branch with a total for it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it says what? Well, Mr. Markey proposed his bill after President Donald Trump claimed he wielded total authority in the early days of the coronavirus pandemic and declared a national emergency. More is public about the 1950s and 1960s version of the draft emergency action orders because some have been mentioned or described in memos that have since been declassified. For example, they included directives imposing versions of martial law, censoring information crossing the border, and suspending court hearings for detained people. It is unclear whether the current set includes similar actions. Yeah, so it's able to grab you up any which way, throw you in jail indefinitely, and fucking cattle prod you, do all kinds of madness to you, waterboard your ass, hang your ass from the ceiling upside down by your ankles. It's they basically can get medieval, and yeah, ain't no one's gonna hear a peep. But that's essentially how it gets down, man. So this is what another early emergency or action order from the 1950s was ready to create military zones prohibiting certain categories of people. The directive echoed how the government barred Japanese and Japanese Americans from large swathes of the West Coast during World War II, leading to their internment. Yeah, so the Japs getting grabbed up and dashed in jail. That during World War II. They're saying like, oh, that they can pursue that further, which hey, that's gonna be directed at Jake. Cause is there something on here? Cause I think they mentioned something about domestic tea error. Since mate, I think that's to do with what's his face. They're trying to push something through on that with what's his face, but it might be a different article. I think I mixed it up. But yeah, it's with what do you call it? These powers. What Esau can get raw, he can get real. He's basically just gonna have to, and there's gonna be no account, because it's a matter of what one shutting down. You ain't gonna hear shit about shit. No one's hearing nothing about nothing. It's all basically gonna be going on in the dark, in the enclosed corners of government, where there's gonna be a shady guy in the shadows, wearing glasses. All you can see is a reflection on the glasses, and he's gonna be asking you questions whilst your liver's getting broken down by some soldiers. Whilst you're getting electrical current pass through your eyelids and shit. It's that's what when the emergency powers come in, how Esau's gonna be looking to get, because that's historically how he gets down anyway, man. Esau is of Cain, man. Revelation 12:12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that you have but a short time. Yeah, coming down with that great wrath. Because why? It'll be he's gonna be looking to get his Karag, man. He's gonna be looking to get his marking. It's gonna be essentially pushing for that, and that's the main thing. That's the main goal. All these things is what about reformulating, restructuring, how the world is ordered, and then these events. What that's a key part in how he's gonna push people, and essentially make them accept the that directive. Essentially accept it, man. Eat it. So 2nd of 16. start from. Let's start from 5. It says, plagues are sent unto you, and what is he that may drive them away? May any man drive away an hungry lion in the wood, or may anyone quench the fire and stubble when it hath begun to burn? May one turn against the arrow that is shot of a strong archer? The mighty Lord sendeth the plagues, and who is he that can drive them away? Yeah. These these events, these circumstances, it's the state the world's gonna be in. This is a message wrapped in a bow from Yahweh Shem Yahushua. It's basically a gift being delivered, man. Them scourges, them curses, them plagues. These are things that are basically, being visited upon the world. Why? Because it's the desire of Yahweh Shem Yahushua to do so. As such, what? It's something that can't be stopped. Something that's sealed in the word. Once it's gone out, the word can't return void. Okay. The mighty Lord sendeth the plagues, and who is he that can drive them away? A fire shall go forth from his wrath, and who is he that may quench it? He shall cast lightnings, and who shall not fear? He shall thunder, and who shall not be afraid? And part of that is what? Esau being utilized to bring about that destroyed state, bring about a lot of those judgments. Because why? It's the same age-old story with Jake, where, they latch onto the heathen. They have that love for the heathen. They're looking to the heathen, for that love. But then what? In the, they're looking to the heathen for that love. But then what? Jesus. The heathen don't love them, man. And what? They deal with you harshly. Same thing. Trusting Esau, all that faith in Esau and the so-called white man, and that what? He's gonna be the one to, to basically bring about peace. Which is what a whole lot of Jakes out here thinking. They're out here ready to jump on the Kuragma, jump on any means to continue to maintain their state within the society. Because this is it. This is as good as it gets. Thinking, if Esau leaves, we're just going to be swinging on trees like monkeys, eating shit and clicking our tongues. But that mindset is part of the downfall. Because all that faith is gonna be realized, like, yo, Lord's basically handed you over to him to get mullered. The Lord shall threaten, and who shall not be utterly beaten to powder at his presence? The earth quaketh, and the foundations thereof. The sea ariseth up with waves from the deep, and the waves of it are troubled, and the fishes thereof also before the Lord, and before the glory of his power. For strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow. His arrows that he shooteth are sharp, and shall not miss, when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world. Behold, the plagues are sent, and shall not return again, until they come upon the earth. The fire is kindled, and shall not be put out, till it consume the foundation of the earth. Yeah, this destruction been sent out, man. And once it's sent, it's cold. It ain't gonna miss. There's gonna be no capability for that to be waylaid, to be delayed, to be changed. It's basically gonna fulfill everything it needs to do, and that's what That's funny, how these elites are operating. That's why they have their bunkers deep in the underground, underwater, up in space. But the flip side of that is what? They ain't gonna escape. They're doing all that. They ain't gonna escape. They're all, those who have been marked, they're gonna receive their reward. And that's why it's as Ren said, apocalyptic scenarios. That's what's getting ready to come, man. Esau, the elites of Esau already is the average peon, man. They're out here, watching. They're going now. The sun's out. They're going down to the seaside. They're going down to Brighton. They're going to Cornwall. They're taking a flight. They're seeing Wagwan for Portugal. They're enjoying themselves. They're trying to maintain some form of bliss, but all of that is complete tomfoolery. Because why? Yahweh Hashem Yahushai is getting ready to make himself known. So yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom. Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, Hashem Kakadash Bakata. Shalom.